It's the Jaye and Thomas Podcast, an hour of commentary on today's top stories, current events, or just life in general. And here are your hosts, Jaye and Thomas Darden.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Jaye and Thomas Podcast.
Exactly.
Welcome to the Jaye and Thomas Podcast. This is episode 6.
That's right.
We're going to start off as we normally do. Dad, how you doing?
I'm doing excellent today. It's been a good day. Got out on our little electric scooters and did our electric thing for a while. So pretty interesting. Battery almost ran down before I got home. So there you go. But turned out good.
Well,
been overcast here. They say it's going to be overcast. It's overcast and about 75. And they said it'll be like that every day for about a month. And then the sun will come back out and it'll be nice for the next 4 or 5 months. So
wow.
I'm like, okay, that sounds good.
Is that your all's winter?
I guess that's what they consider it. It gets a little cool at night, but like I said, cool is, 68, 65 degrees here.
Yeah,
so,
I got you.
With the breeze blowing in off the ocean, it gets cool, but it's still nothing. I mean, it's still comfortable. So life is good, brother.
I got you.
Life is good.
Well, hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that. So last time we had some technical difficulties. Hopefully we won't have to relive that sort of experience. But you sent me a couple things for this week to look at. The first thing being something that I hope you packed a sack lunch, and because you want to talk about the social security system. And the question there is, I mean, you just want to talk about it as a whole, or if it's worth it, or are you happy that you can live off of it when some of us, i.e. maybe somebody who's currently on this podcast right now, may not ever see the benefits of? So what do you think?
I did a little history on it, and the Social Security administers Social Disability and Survivor benefits. Yeah. Now they started this in 1935, and it's headquartered in Woodland, Maryland. FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt. You don't really pay a lot of attention to it as you're growing up, I guess, until you start to get older. Talk about getting older. The life expectancy, the man is 63. Okay, and that's their prediction, or their how they figure social security to be paid out. A woman at 65 can live to be 85. That's the life expectancy, and one in every 4 65-year-olds lives past 90. So, yeah, and the thing I found was interesting. 6% of your paycheck is paid into the Social Security system. So they take it out of your check, and they claim that the Social Security is one of the most successful anti-poverty programs in our nation's history. 64 million people currently, retirees, children, widows, widowers, get Social Security right now. So, are receiving Social Security benefits.
Okay.
You hear everybody say that they've robbed the Social Security system. So I don't know if they've robbed it or not. I found it interesting that when I turned my full retirement age, January the 2nd of 2020. Yeah. So I thought, you know what? If you take your Social Security, a lot of people don't know this, and they need to research it. They really need to research it. And you can go to ssa.gov and set up your own account. And everyone should have an account and know where they stand with the Social Security Administration. They really should. I didn't start researching it until I turned probably 65. And so I started looking at it, and I thought I could have drawn Social Security at 62, but I probably, they have a cap. If you draw it before your full retirement age, they have a cap that you can only make so much money.
So an earnings
I'll just
cap.
throw out round,
right?
An earnings cap, yes. So I'll just throw out round numbers. And so my Social Security, let's just say, would have been $1,000 a month. So it would have been $12,000 a year. I could only make $15,250 a year working. That's my income cap receiving Social Security.
Okay.
Well, if you add that together, it's, $27,000, 28, let's call it $28,000. Well, if I'm going to keep working and I'm making twice that working, why would I stop? I don't know if this makes sense, but I'll make half as much and still have to keep working. Now you're working part-time, and if you go over your cap, they deduct money from your Social Security check.
Sure. Yeah.
If you go over your income cap. Yeah. So I waited by working the other 4 years from 62 to 66. I doubled the money I would receive each month.
Oh, wow. There you go.
And was able to take those checks and put them in the bank. So people need to really look at this. I mean, when this first started, they called it the Economic Security Act in 1935. And then Congress changed it to Social Security. I worked to pay, they probably used my money to pay for my parents. And then you're working to pay my benefits, because as far as I know, the Social Security system's empty. They set this up in 1935, and they paid retirement benefits were paid to primary workers, just regular people that were working. In 1939, they added survivors, a spouse and children.
Oh, sure.
1956 is when they added the disability benefits. So, in 1935, the law contained the first unemployment compensation program. I had no idea.
Oh, wow.
The unemployment since 1935.
Sure.
Now, businesses pay in, an unemployment tax or unemployment. Yeah. They have a pool that they pay into. So if you draw unemployment from a company, they're paying it out of that pool. Cost of living increases for Social Security didn't start till 1975. So I guess each generation is working to cover the previous generation's benefits.
I would see that.
Will you see any of those? Will you see any Social Security? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what they'll have in place by the time you retire.
I don't know. That looks like that the trust that they have for everything being set up. I forgot where I saw it. It looks like in 2045, there's not going to be any benefits whatsoever for Social Security, and I'm not sure if I'm just speaking out of my rear or not. But one of the things that's interesting is, of course, throughout Social Security, they've had to push back the age in which you can start to collect those benefits if you are utilizing them for retirement's sake. Obviously, if it's for a widow or if it's for a child or something like that, that's obviously different. But that is kind of interesting, because I know, or at least I am under the impression that one of the reasons they came up with it was, to put it bluntly, to not have as many poor older people, right? Where they kind of set it up in the beginning when your life expectancy, looking at life expectancy from back in the 60s was at 70, right? Well, if they set the age up at 62, cool, we can handle you for 8 years or whatever. We don't need you to, what do you call it? I'm looking at the past 100 years life expectancy real quick. Let's see. So from, oh, wow, that's kind of weird. I don't want from 1860, whatever. Just show me. Sure. Yeah. Allow every cookie. Who freaking cares? One of the interesting things here. So back in what you said, this came around roughly 1939-ish, 1930. So the 1930s. Well, your life expectancy there, hilariously enough, the average in 1940 is 62. So they're thinking, okay, so the random person who makes it past this actual age, okay, then we can help a brother or sister out. But as you go, I don't think expected. I mean, the life expectancy back in 2015. It's funny that it's actually dropping hilariously enough as we go along. Funny, not funny, but in 2015, it spikes to 78.94, so basically 79, 80. Well, if that is the expected age, and you can retire at 62, even with the minimum amount of whatever you're getting, that's almost 20 years roughly. 15 years at least, and that's not even including folks like Mar, who are 90 something. So, and that's not 92. To say, that's not to say she's living off of the government, because she obviously had a pension or retirement, something with the American Legion or whatever association that was. But that doesn't mean that also she's just living off that either. She has Social Security, she has a pension, et cetera, et cetera. So it's something where if you guys are going to live forever, then we're definitely not seeing any dimes on it, at least the younger generation.
That's right.
But
that's exactly right.
One thing I do find that is interesting about Social Security is that you can say, cool, I've done my piece. I've worked my work, and, you worked for 50 years, you deserve something, right? Well, you take that money and you don't even put it back in our economy. You take it to another economy. It's so, and it's not just you, of course. It's there are others who have done it. As we've talked about before, expats can really be from anywhere. Like, we just call them expatriates because that's what we're assuming all of us Americans are patriots. Right. Where if they're coming from Germany or China or Canada or Australia, wherever, I don't know how patriotic they are, but I find it humorous that that's what people are doing. But the not funny part about that is Social Security for folks who didn't plan well, or maybe even the economy tanked, right? When, because I know people who lost thousands upon tens of thousands of dollars in the stock market when they had their separate retirement, right? Where they're doing their 401k, they're doing exactly what they should, but they just had a downturn. And 2008 rocked a lot of people's worlds, right? 2008, 2009, the market crashes and things just kind of go AWOL or haywire. And it's a scenario that now the going words on the street are, do not plan on Social Security being your retirement thing. If that makes sense.
Well, I'll throw this example. I'll throw this example out there.
Yeah.
Okay. Your brother in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Okay.
Okay. His wife's a school teacher. Mm-hmm. Teaches in elementary school. Yeah. Pretty diverse section of town. Pretty diverse classes. Okay. In Kentucky, they will not let teachers draw Social Security. They don't pay into Social Security. They pay into a teacher's retirement fund.
Okay, so like a pension kind of for them, sure.
Correct. She's been teaching 23 years.
Okay.
She wants to retire. There's no money in the pension account. They've spent it all.
Wow.
They told her, they said, we don't, if you retire, we don't have the money to pay you because there's no money in the pension account.
Oh.
But you can't draw Social Security because you didn't pay into the program. Okay, yeah.
It seems like somebody's been screwed a little bit.
Out of my mind. Yeah, she told me that I was out of my mind. When she told me that, I went out of my mind. I said, "You're kidding." She said, "No."
Wow.
No, that's the truth. She teaches, like first or second grade
sure.
or something like that. But she's been teaching for 23 years in the system. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and you can't retire. You can't stop teaching and retire and draw the money that you put into the teacher's pension account because it's empty. The corrupt jackasses in government spent all your money while you were in there stroking and working hard every day and teaching their children. That's crazy. As my brother would say, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it?
Well, that's a good question.
So that's what I asked her. I said, what are you going to do about it?
Could you take
she
it? Well,
signed up to teach another year.
Well, I was going to say,
What do you do?
I mean, potentially take him to court because it's under, I'm assuming, a contract that by federal mandate they don't put that in there or what. So
I didn't ask any questions because I didn't want to poke the wasp nest. You know what
Sure,
I mean?
yeah.
I didn't want to poke that and make anybody mad. So I didn't ask any questions like, "What are you going to do?"
Right.
Because I didn't want anybody mad. Yeah. Oh wow. I mean, that's just. And they've spent all the money in the Social Security coffers.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a fishbowl full of IOUs.
What is this? What is this? Where's all the money? That's as good as money, sir. Those are IOUs. Go ahead and add it up. Every cent's accounted for.
The corrupt ass government in Washington has spent all that money. That's why.
Jeez.
And I tell you something that's even worse.
Mm-hmm.
When I decided to draw Social Security, I started drawing January the 2nd, 2020. The lady said, "You'll get your first check in February." I said, she goes, "We're a month behind."
Yeah, they're a month behind, right? Yeah.
My check. You took that money out of my check every week on time and never was late. And you're going to make me wait an extra month? I said, "Yes, ma'am." So
right. Yeah.
2020, my check and Medicare out of my check. So it's like me paying myself when they took that out of my check. So
air quotes, like you paying yourself. That is wild.
there I was.
Jeez.
I felt like I was paying myself because let me say thank you.
Yeah. You're more than welcome. Me and my constituents and everybody paying into it and all that shit. So good stuff there. Whomever is,
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll be more than happy to do it.
What?
Our buddies, myself and the mice in my pocket, we are more than happy to pay for your retirement. Since obviously the coffers are barren at this point, I'm sure. So we'll see where we can go from there. So,
thank you.
Yeah, no worries at all. Especially if you can take our precious money and take it to a foreign country and and right to jail. Just be careful down there. So, all right.
Why are you breaking my stones about taking it to a different country?
Well, because I'm just I don't even know because we're doing a show.
Just 'cause you can, right?
No, we're doing a show and it's called a bit. So if I give you a hard time about something, it's not that I'm actually giving you a hard time about something, but it's supposed to be for the audience. So, for our 10 subscribers.
I know, and I appreciate
Thank
that.
you all for subscribing and liking and watching the videos. It's been great. We're in the double digits. It's coming.
I'm going.
So that's it.
Yeah.
So poke the proverbial bear there. So
that's right.
That's it.
Double digits.
Yeah, we're gonna keep doing it. So yes, as YouTube enjoys in their algorithm, like, comment, and subscribe. Or as
but they say don't say subscribe because it sounds like they have to pay something. It's follow.
Well,
Hit the subscribe button and follow along.
Well, no. Here's really what it is.
Hey, go ahead and smash that like button if you're staying safe in quarantine. And remember, we're all in this together, so go ahead and smash that like button real quick. Do me a quick favor, go ahead and smush that like button. Go ahead and stamp that light fixture if you're pretty. Why don't you do me a solid? Go ahead and smash that like button.
Smash that like button and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time the podcast comes out. So you never say subscribe in there. So. That's so funny. So something that I thought was kind of cool.
Okay, there you go.
Was you said to look up Dr. Shiva, and I'm thinking of Nava Shiva from over there in India or Turkey, and Dr. Shiva and Big Pharma. So let me throw out what it appeared that Dr. Shiva was putting down. I thought it was interesting, but two big things, because I watched one of his videos where it talks about our immune system, our bodies as systems themselves. And I'm thinking, okay, yes, I understand that logic of thought. That's totally fine. Two things. One, I don't care that you want to be in Congress. I don't care that you want to be a part of the political agenda. If you have a good idea, make the good idea the point, and don't say every 10 minutes, go to my website, buy my book, and do all this crap. Because one of the best parts is, if he could follow along in his own notes and say the exact correct thing 80% of the time, it would be fantastic. It would be a good, solid point, and it would be pretty interesting, and it would keep your attention. However, make the political thing come later. Okay. It doesn't have to be political first. Help people first. Don't make it about them versus us. Say, I want to give you my information. It's accredited. I'm an MIT PhD. Let my credentials speak for themselves. I'm going to give you some knowledge, and then let's move on. As opposed to, now granted, I didn't see this guy most likely in his earlier days when he's making email and then putting out his message, right? Where now it's, I want to be in Congress, I want to be a senator or what do you call it? House of Representatives person, alderman, whatever it might be. So I understand part of it has to be, hey, I have a website, I have some books, let's fight the power. And it's like, hold up. That leads me to my other thing, okay? Numero dos, amigos. He says...
Gracias.
Gracias. He says, come from a place that will bring anger, okay? And to me, I understand anger is an emotion, and it's very hard to control our emotions. We can only kind of guide them or try to at least learn from them. But when somebody uses that rhetoric or that language, come with anger, get angry. One of the problems is at that point, you can be discredited for whatever it is you're saying, because they're going to say, well, you're just trying to pick fights. You're just trying to start up fights. Right. You don't really care about these people. You just are trying to, rouse your base. And then, because this guy, he comes out spewing, which is totally fine, and I kind of agree with, he doesn't care about either party's agenda. But he put himself on as Republican, which is funny to me, because it makes me think, what does he think, stupid enough to hear this message and accept it, versus the Democrats or whatever party that you're thinking of. Like, okay, so, right. or maybe it's vice versa. But anywho, to that end, it's like, okay, if your message is important, then just say it. Don't make it political. And if you don't like Big Pharma, that's totally fine. But it doesn't have to be a partisan, bipartisan, whatever kind of partisanship issue. It's just, look, there's corruption in places. Wherever it is, give us your information first. Don't try to rouse a base or rouse a group of people, because at that point, folks who are trying to kind of look at it at 30,000 feet are going to say, well, this person is just trying to be a provocateur or an agitator. So
he's an instigator. Yeah,
exactly. And to that end, he might have some interesting messages, but one, I mean, and I could say a lot of things. I listened to an hour, and that's all I could stand, because it's a lot like podcasts nowadays or TV shows or whatever. It's all about ads. Sell you this. Go to this website. Purchase this. I don't mind if you have an ad or two, but I learned about that guy's website and his books at least 4 times throughout the 55 minutes I could stomach. And also, he trips over himself too much. He is obviously an intelligent person based on his credentials, but if you're going to mince words with me, or you're going to say like, well, was this? Oh, I meant this. Let's get this on track. And it's like, hold up. You're already showing me that you don't know what's going on. So what's going to happen when you're actually on the big stage and you need to debate somebody, well, you're going to be looking like whomever is doesn't have a good cognitive ability or whatnot, or you're just going to be too smart for your own good, and then you're going to be quietly escorted away because they're like, we don't want to hear what you have to say. So,
Okay.
did you look up any of his stuff?
Yeah, I watched an hour of the Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to understand why he said Big Pharma needs 60% of us. And you know, it's a science of systems to manipulate us. Big pharmacy. Mm-hmm. You know, the drugs are the pharmaceutical drugs are a compound. None of them are natural. You know, they put what's his name in the jail, Kevin Trudeau. They put him in jail for those healing books that he had of natural healing things for, you know, and the big pharmacy came in and said, wait, you know, he's cutting in, you know, you can put honey on that cut instead of putting our Band-Aid and mercurochrome on it or whatever, you know, and they're like, no, we can't have that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if he's still in jail, but I know that at one point they locked him up for I don't know, snake oil sales or whatever you want to call it. It was just interesting to me because he takes you from the beginning of when a compound is found that they design, and then they go to get a patent on it. And the patent life is 20 years. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then they start testing, and testing takes about 6 years. Okay. So now you've only got 13, 14 years to work this out and get federal approval, you know. and he said, the thing about it is the people are not worried about does the medicine work. They're worried about the stock price going up and down. That's what they're watching is pharmaceutical stock prices and stuff. So, you know, you got 7 years to get FDA approval to be able to push this out to the public. Well, that's after you've, you know, killed some rats or monkeys or whatever you've tried it on. Yeah. You know, because they do that in the I guess the research and development. And he was just basically what he was saying was just follow the money because it's all about money. Because they've got a file that they roll out is, you know, 10 people to 100, and the phase 2 that they roll out, you know, 1,000 people, and phase 3 is like 10,000 people. And you know, the bad part about it is that Big Pharma, they know that they're losing. They know they're losing money. They spend more on R&D than they do. I mean, they're spending twice as much on marketing as they are on research and development.
Oh yeah, well,
the FDA is not allowing them to put a lot of the drugs on the market because of the side effects.
Yeah, fair.
You know, I took Lipitor at one time, and I was the poster boy for side effects. Because I mean, I was my bones were aching and my joints were aching, and I took it for about a week, and then I pitched it in the garbage, and I said, man, I can't do this. I feel worse without taking it.
Oh, that sucks.
And you know they're saying that they've got to have 60% of the population vaccinated to make money. Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson. They got to have 60% of the population. Well, 60% of what do you say, 335 million people? Yeah. That's a lot of folks.
Yeah, it is.
160, 170 for them, and somebody's paying for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, something that's pretty incredible to me.
In 2021, those companies will make millions and millions of dollars.
Okay.
Why did it take them? They normally say it takes 5 years to develop a vaccine, and these guys did it in 5 months or 4 months. How they pull that off? I mean, how in the world did they pull that off? That's like them telling me they'll give me my COVID results in 30 minutes, and then they come back and tell me it's going to be 4 hours. But when they had to retest they gave it to me in 30 minutes. You could have gave it the results in 30 minutes the first time, but you didn't. You chose not to. So how did they make a vaccine so fast, so quick, and put it out on the market and start vaccinate people? And normally they say it takes 5 years or 5 to 10 years. How does that happen?
Well, one of the reasons that you had to, air quotes, push one of those through is it didn't have to go through the same standard of regulations, right? Because we were and / are in a pandemic. So
why not? Why not though? Are you not going to check the side effects before you start injecting people?
I think they did up to a point, but once it basically, I guess stop killing the monkeys or stop killing the bats or whatever, they said it's good to go, because, I had my 2 shots of Pfizer and I was pretty good and I was good to go. And the funniest thing in the world is them having you wait in your car for you to pass out or some shit and just you pass it on the horn or something. And they give you, or at least they gave me, the first time I got the shot, like a 20-page dossier that they had printed out for all the newbies saying, here's what you can essentially expect or potential side effects. This is not wholly approved by Joe Blow, FDA, whomever, and said, hey, we're going to do this. And it's something that comes down to, and I said it once and I'll say it again. Mostly the reason why I took it was because of social requirements. It was much less, I'm going to get this thing at some point in my life and then I'm just going to die from it. It's come down to, I got to get this because if I don't, well, then I'm going to be shunned. That's just kind of how it is. And even with my somewhat more conservative amigos, like they got the shot too, right? Even if they either believe in it or don't or whatever the hell it is, doesn't matter because we're going to do it so we can, air quotes, go back to living our life versus somebody who might say no. And then your friends ask, hey, did this happen or whatever, and passing conversation, and then you become the pariah. And it's just something that it's not worth it. It just isn't, because let's put it like this. If you want to have another lockdown situation for another year or whatever, and people don't get vaccinated, you want to do that shit again because the government wants to do it and it's all up to the state. And I'm aware of that. But if things got worse and you went back into that situation, as opposed to getting the vaccine, well, a lot of us are going to just get the vaccine and shut up and move on because, for one, it was free. You didn't have to barely have any ID, right? They just said, hey, here's your card, and then move on. And then, show us your QR code, and that was it. It's like, why worry about that sort of thing when there are so many things that we just do and take for granted anyways, that only when something becomes political or shoved in your face that it's the, air quotes, the wrong thing or the different thing, then why does it matter? Now with Big Pharma, I do think there obviously are, like circling back around to that, I do think there are issues. If it was something where I'm not 100% sure that Big Pharma is trying to be in that big circle, that big loop that Dr. Shiva was talking about, where this leads to stress and anxiety, which leads to barbiturates, which leads to higher rates of sickness, which leads, and then it's a big old circle. It's a big cycle. Are they? I don't know. Could they be? The conspiracy theorist side in me thinks, 100%. Why not? But that also could lead into several other conversations about, we have no honest idea what's really going on at any given time. It's just, what are we able to accept and what small little nuggets of information will satiate us, and then we move on to the next thing. So,
right. I got
you. But I got you. It's wild because if it comes down to you're a scientist, okay, and you have a good, well thought out, well researched method, trying to make it politicized seems as though you're going against the first, or I don't think it's the Hippocratic Oath, but the doctor's oath, where first do no harm. Yeah,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't angle it at somebody. Just say, look, here's the info. Let whomever take what information they want from it and move on. Because it's going to come down to, you're going to dilute the message when every 10 minutes in your podcast or in your bumbled stream of information that you have with your cohorts or whatever, and you're having technical issues, much like we did last week. It just comes down to, like, I'm not going to take you as seriously, because it just doesn't make as much sense to me to say, okay, like the medical professionals or the doctorates or the PhDs or the MIT folks, okay, say one thing, you get one ad, and then move on. But just can't do it. Like, I don't even live in the state this guy lives in, so I don't give a crap whether or not he's a political advocate or whatnot. So it's like,
Right.
meh. It's just crazy to me. Especially if your information is good enough, you don't have to politicize it. So it just seemed as though,
Right.
it was like, oh, well, that's kind of weird. But one thing that, let me ask you, did you see the part where he talks about Eastern medicine versus Western medicine, or methods of thought about the body?
Yes. Yes.
Something that at least I find interesting is that if you took to that at all, it would be very surprising to me. Talking about Eastern medicines and other kinds of things like that, like chakras and auras and things of that nature,
Right.
or treating the body as a system, where I don't think it's exactly off base to say there are some folks in Western medicine, in the Western world, that kind of think like that. And also, any trained professional who's in the medical field is going to understand the body is a system, obviously. Things happen to it. Things go in, things come out, and that's totally fine. I don't think that's that new. But when they're talking about Indian medicine, well, I saw on another podcast recently, or another show recently, where people who were catching COVID, they were covering themselves in cow crap. So, I'm not 100% sure I want to go with Eastern medicine.
Nobody can get close enough to treat them, right?
Right. Well, I mean, that was being their treatment, right? Or that's what they were thinking of what was going on. And now I do agree with the power of positive thinking can help you, but this isn't a Patch Adams situation. It's not something where
Right.
you're going to think yourself better if you're actually ill. I don't think that's going to happen. However, one thing that has looked kind of crazy, and something that was brought up today that I thought was pretty cool, was cool about the thought of it, was they weren't ever talking about treatments of the Brovid. It was all, you catch it, ventilator, die. So just don't catch it ever, because if not, or if you do, ventilator, die. There was never
Right.
a thing other than having the very eloquent misphrasing or miscapturing information, where people are saying we're supposed to inject bleach, and it's like that's not what somebody said. That's just not how it happens.
Right.
Okay, people are dumb, just in general. So
Yeah.
if they want to run with
exactly.
things, that they perfectly can. But it was interesting to me that they don't, or didn't, hone in on that from anything that I saw originally. It was just
Right.
catch it, don't catch it. If you do catch it, ventilator, die. And it's like, well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, think about it like this. What if they came out with something that said, hey, you could actually help with, vitamin C or whatever drugs that might happen, steroids, things like that. And, we would still maintain, our hospital system's not collapsing, because you wouldn't just be bum rushed with tens of thousands or millions of people. And it was just very, very curious to me about that. But Big Pharma, they're going to do what they do. They're even probably listening to this podcast. They're probably one of the 10 subscribers. Maybe they'll be subscriber 11. I don't know.
Hey, they might be. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Could you imagine being
maybe.
approached by Monsanto or Bayer and saying, "Hey, we want to sponsor your podcast"?
No. No, I can't.
They'd be like, "I'll be your Doug."
No. Yeah.
So
okay.
that would be silliness. But so moving on to something that's a little bit more, what we'll say is happy. You want to talk about
refreshing
LGBT? Hold up, got to say the whole thing. I'm not gonna. Yeah, QIA. Hold on. LGBTQIA LMNOP. 2A plus, I think. But you wanted to talk about this.
What's the IA? What's the IA?
IA.
What's the IA after Q?
So look, you have lesbian,
have that part.
gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and or questioning, intersex, and asexual, and or ally. Okay, so
Okay.
I think we're all
They've
a little
extended that.
right.
Yeah, well, everybody fits in somewhere, right?
Yes, exactly. Well,
Into
and
that,
yeah,
yeah.
there's also a plus. I think
Yeah.
the plus was supposed to be at the tail end, but that I think is supposed to be for allies and others. And so,
Right.
you wanted to talk about this a little bit, but what do you have an opinion there, Thomas, about?
Well, no, I was just going to give everybody a little bit of history of, that this is Pride Month.
Oh my!
June is celebrated every June. June was chosen as Pride Month to commemorate the riots held by members of the LGBT community against the police raid. They raided a gay nightclub in New York City in the Stonewall Inn, June 28th of 1969. And they didn't have any right to be in there. And there were riots for weeks over that. A lot of disruption. So because of that, it's in commemoration of that. And there's parades and marches and parties and concerts and workshops and all that kind of stuff. But something that I didn't know that I found that was interesting is you've seen a pride flag, right?
I have
The rainbow flag.
Well, it depends on which one you're talking about. If you're looking at one here, I'm going to pull one up for you really fast. I think it's the air quotes the latest one.
I mean, I know what they look like, but I was going to tell you.
I'm showing the audience.
The flag was created in 1978.
Yeah.
Well, the flag was created in 1978.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a rainbow flag. And the red, it stands for life.
Okay.
The orange for healing. The yellow is for sunlight. The green for nature. The blue for harmony. And the violet for spirit.
I like the blue
and I found
is
that
serenity.
to be pretty interesting. And I didn't know. I didn't know that the blue is for harmony.
Depending on where you get it from, yeah, I see that.
Yeah. Okay. Bill Clinton was the first U.S. president to officially recognize Pride Month in 1999 and 2000. Obama came in and declared June Pride Month 2009 to 2016. This is what a lot of people don't know. In May of 2019, Trump recognized Pride Month, and his administration launched a global campaign to decriminalize homosexuality.
Wow.
And everybody thought he was a jackass. And they just don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So New York is the place to be this month. It's the largest Pride parade with over 2 million people.
Something that
I think participating in 2019.
Right. Something that's incredible here is I typed into the Googles. I typed in Trump Pride Month. Okay. The very first thing that shows up is Biden recognizes LGBTQ Pride Month 1 day ago. And then the next 4 stories or next 4 links, even one from the Independent in UK, is Biden recognizes Pride Month. Biden formally recognizes June as Pride Month. Biden recognizes that as Pride Month. That's pretty interesting that you have that bit of information, and the first page of Google results, I don't see that. You must have the dark web down there in Ecuador. I can't see
Yes,
that
we
at all,
do,
man.
and we try not to use Google as a search engine. So that's
Smart.
kind of how that is. So
I guess so.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Very
we
interesting.
try not to. Don't talk to me about Slow Joe.
Oh, I was going to say, how did you find that information? Like, where'd that come from?
I just used a different search engine.
Oh, okay.
Do
you want to
look for that? I mean, there's a lot. No, I don't want to reveal it. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Well,
big boy.
okay. Everybody else, you have to come here for the knowledge that you're seeking.
That's right. And I found out. That's right. You'll only learn it here.
Yeah.
On the
Jay and Thomas Podcast. WKAN. That's it, man. That's good.
That's
okay.
right.
Well,
That's right.
yeah.
It's
Go for it.
It's 92.3 KYGL Classic Rock. You're caller number 4. That's right.
Well, does caller.
You know, and people, we ought to, I have to explain this now.
All right.
Because whenever you get telemarketer calls or unwanted calls to your house, that's the way you can answer the phone. You can answer the phone several different ways if you know, and it's your cell phone. You know, it's your cell phone.
Sure.
You know who the hell's calling, or you don't know, and you don't want to know. And people that know you will know that you're kidding, because when people would call me, I would say, hey, 92.3 Classic Rock KYGL, you're caller number 4. And they'd go, hey, man, they knew it was me. People that didn't know me would hang up immediately. Or answer the phone and say, whatever county you live in or whatever municipality you want to use, Davidson County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Baxter, may I help you?
Oh, wow.
And everything gets real quiet. And you'll hear a click, and they'll hang up right away. Because, I used to say, Sumner County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Clark, may I help you? Click,
Wow.
They'd hang up right away. If they thought they got the sheriff's office or police department, it didn't matter who they were, unless they knew me. And I'd do it to people that I knew, just to mess with them, But
I'm sure they enjoyed that very much.
Yeah, y'all can use that. Y'all can use that. So now you can't get a hold of me because I have an Ecuadorian phone number, and it's got like
12
digits.
13, 12, some like 20 something numbers.
Yeah, it's got like 12 digits. What's your phone number? Hold on a second. Let me get it out. I wrote it down. Let me get it out of my wallet. Look. Yeah.
I was going to say,
idea.
it's not going to be like Tommy Two Tones where it's like, it's easy to remember. It's by a song or whatever. It'd be like, nah, it ain't.
It's like 098536142 Yeah.
That's
Don't
funny.
call me Jenny, and don't write my number on the bathroom wall either.
It ain't
for
happening.
a good time, okay?
Well, there's not enough room on the stall, on the walls in there, It'd be all over the place, man.
Hey, pass this on. There's no toilet paper in the bathrooms down here.
Yeah, that was a very mild shock when we saw the gigantic roll outside of the mall stalls or out by the bathroom themselves.
It's an industrial size roll out by where you dry your hands, and you pull off what you anticipate needing at the time, and then you go into the stall and take care of your business. But if it's not in the mall and you're using the baños, aka bathroom, out in public, there might not be any toilet paper there. They're widely known and recognized for not having any TP when you go to the bathroom. So,
well, that to me is kind of ludicrous. But let me tell you a little
carry
something.
your napkins or
your tissues. The little
roll
packs
up
of
your
tissues or whatever.
Toilet paper, or carry your Kleenex. The little miniature bags of Kleenex that you get. It's just.
Well, something.
When you're in the food court at the mall, napkins down here, they're like gold.
Well, one of the things I thought that they might actually use is something that I've put upstairs in my bathroom, which is a bidet.
I have one of those French things that shoots water up your butt.
Bidet.
Bidet to you, sir.
And then, of course, every time I leave the bathroom, I say, bidet to you, sir. And
We have one here in our bathroom. I thought that was interesting.
so is that one where it's a separate thing? Like it's a little commode? Okay. And then you sit down there and wash yourself or whatever. Yeah. Right.
No, this is a
spray.
snake out of the wall.
Yeah.
Like a shower head thing. And
Right.
I haven't used it, but
Hey,
there you go.
I'm just saying.
I
It works.
It
It works pretty well. Get yourself nice and clean. The only problem is because you're.
Did we get off on bidets because we were talking about LGBT? I mean, is that?
I don't know, man. That might be what's going on. Well, what's nuts is, of course, the snake's out of the wall, and you're sitting there, and then you're about to fall over because you got to lean forward, and you're doing this and that and everything, and you spray everywhere and all that. I utilize it more, honestly, to clean the bowl because of these high efficiency ass commodes. They have about an inch of water. Well, that just ain't going to work.
Right.
I'm going to need a little more water than that, or at least to clean the bowl as you go. So it's less to clean up over time as well, because nothing's sticking anywhere or whatever, and you just but of course when I do clean myself, it works. I mean, it does what it needs to do, and you're like, okay, something's happening, and then you're like, cool, I'm done.
Right.
So but yeah, the Pride Month, something that I thought was pretty interesting going along with that, and I did hear this from somewhere else, where we have one day to remember forgotten soldiers or soldiers who have given their life in service of this country, to give us the freedoms that allow us to sit here and BS about bidets and bathrooms and all that shenanigans. One day where if you gave your life for the country, you get one day, and then we have months of recognition for this group, for this group, for this group, for this group, etc., etc., etc. And I thought that was
you've got Black
pretty
History
interesting.
Month, you've got Women's Month, you've got Pride Month. Yeah,
I thought that was kind of
I
interesting.
never thought of it like that, but it makes a lot of sense.
But
Veterans Day is one day.
well,
Memorial Day.
one thing that was interesting, and somebody got tore up on Twitter for, was talking about Memorial Day being a part of a long weekend. And yes, she got tore out of the frame, but it just goes to show you, like, are nobody thinking about these things?
They're out of touch, man. They're out of touch. Got no clue. Swallow Me Harris is out of touch. I just has no clue.
That sounds like a Barbie doll or something like that.
Okay. Might be. Might be later on.
Well, I was going to say, I'm sure you had a Barbie of Michelle and a Ken doll version of Obama. They would probably make Trump Mr. Potato Head, but you ain't making it. You're not making Ivanka Ms. Potato Head. That ain't happening. She's going to be a Barbie too.
No. Yeah, that's right.
Holy smokes, man. But yeah, that's
we got off. We made a left turn somewhere, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, some would say it's a right turn, but it just really depends on where you go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's the right turn.
Well, and
I got it.
Too many right turns, and then you're back where you're at.
I got a good buddy that's gay, and he moved out of Nashville down to Dominican Republic.
Oh, okay.
And
wow.
He's been down there. It's I don't want to say it's like Punta Gorda or something like that. I forget exactly the exact city.
All right.
But he sold his house and bought a condo down there, and he seems to be enjoying himself. He went down there about a month before I came down here, and he seems to be doing all right. So, we kind of keep in touch every now and then. So,
are they retired as well?
He is on disability.
Oh, okay, got you.
So yeah, so he's drawing Social Security disability benefits.
That's fair.
So,
Well, there ain't nothing wrong with that.
yeah, no, not at all.
Well,
Not at all. You
something
do you, and I'll do me.
And I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I mean, and I'm sure we've partied with the best of them. And by that, I just mean characters in general, not one specific group, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
One of the most fun nights I had out was going up to see my buddy in Indianapolis because it was his girlfriend's birthday. Well, for whatever reason, a lot of women want to go to gay bars on their birthdays, most likely because they won't get hit on by the guys there for obvious reasons. And we go there, and man, it was a blast. But
Oh yeah.
something that, sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. I was thinking of a very wild night, but something that I find is very interesting is this. I do not mind to let bygones be bygones, let you do you, totally fine. One thing that I think is that needs to be done very carefully is show that sort of thing to children. Okay? I mean, even Blue's Clues, that little cartoon show. Well, they had a gay pride parade in the cartoon. And, a cute little song that they sang and all that stuff. And I understand that we should be accepting and loving of everybody because, you could say we're all God's children, however you want to phrase it, to just not be a jerk to everybody else. But something that is very interesting to me is, or I say interesting, it just gives me pause whenever I think about, okay, you can totally say this is fine, and hey, man, you do you. But we need to understand this, that there are at least certain things, in my opinion, that need to come later on down the line and not in Nick Jr. that's meant for like 2 to 5-year-olds. Right? Because at that point, it seemed as though you are doing the indoctrination, or it seems like you are trying to push the message of it's not that it's just okay, but it's good. And now you be careful, because it could come down to, and of course it doesn't really, I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter what happens, but you just got to be careful, because when they're throwing that stuff out at you super early, it can confuse a lot of kids, because life isn't already screwed up and as confusing as it could possibly be anyways. So one of the things that I'm trying to lay out there is just be mindful about what messages you're sending, because now I do know, or at least it does seem that later on down the line, based on technology and progressiveness and whatnot, where you could potentially give kids like that more opportunities to do this, that, and the other. But we have to understand, the faster we make children smaller adults and not children, and develop them faster and whatnot, it could potentially lead to problems. It just could. So
okay,
I thought that was pretty intense for Blue's Clues. Now, if it's in something that's like, hey, this is on Nickelodeon, because something that I thought was an interesting little snippet of, or a connection, as it were, was there are 2 series of shows that I watched recently that was technically around when I was in high school. So I mean, I could have seen it then. I just wasn't into that at this time. And it was 2 Cartoon Network / Nickelodeon shows that the male character, the male protagonist, didn't end up with the girl in the end, or didn't end up in a relationship or whatever, not in any way possible. It was totally, nope. Either they're a lesbian, like the girl's a lesbian, or the guy's gay, or they just don't want to be with them right now, or something like that. And it's pretty interesting, because the slower that you, or not the slower, the more you input that into that culture, then, or into just culture in general, the more that I think it's going to cause animosity and strife if it happens younger and younger. But I mean, kids know. You know, you hear those stories all the time. Like, what was it? I mean, you hear where like, yeah, I was 5 years old and like, I don't know that I like looking at Johnny a lot more than I like looking at Susie, you know, and it's like, that's totally fine. But,
Right.
and I don't know, even talking about it right now, it does seem as though it might be something that's okay. But one of the things is I think you may confuse more than you help, if that makes sense. So I'll get off the proverbial soapbox, you know.
Well, that's okay. It all makes sense
Oh, it's something else.
to someone somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. But okay, and the last thing that we're going to touch on, did you read that excerpt that I sent you about the actual problem with liberals, Democrats, et cetera, et cetera? That's something that we can, I think we need to tease it here a little bit, and then people can hear about it next time. Where I'll read the first two.
Okay.
Like I'll read the first two little paragraphs here. So what it talks about is the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, and kind of what the thought process is, and potentially what are some of the errors of one of those parties' ways. Okay. So it starts out with, this is a meta problem that liberals, leftists, and the Democratic Party especially have a huge problem with. We don't understand Republicans because they do not think or behave like we do on a very fundamental level. It's why we've been blindsided by them for decades, and it puts us in a strategic disadvantage. Uncovering this mystery is necessary for future electoral process, or success, I should say, and the survival of our republic as we know it. One of the earliest problems electorally is that Republican policy is so goddamn evil, voters literally do not believe anyone could actually endorse it. Therefore, pass it off as a partisan spin. That alone is a challenging issue, but the real problem goes a lot deeper. So we'll leave it there for now, but it's pretty incredible in terms of what are the two big things that are core assumptions of the Republican Party and how it can kind of function. I thought it was pretty well put, and we can get into it next time because it, at least I think, has a very interesting message. And it's something that whether you are conservative,
Right.
liberal, Democratic, Republican, independent, whatever, I think it's good to be self-reflective of, you know, what do you believe in, right? So
Right.
I thought that'd be kind of interesting to touch on next time. Anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I think we had a good little discussion here. Hope everybody enjoyed it.
Yep. And so remember, like, comment, and smash that like button and hit that notification bell so you know when all the future podcasts are coming out. So excellent stuff. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for our Big 10. Y'all will always remember this as the being the top 10 in our hearts forever. And thank y'all for stopping by. And y'all have a good one.
Gotta go. Gotta go.
Bye.
Bye now.